From time to time, I get the question of whether a misaligned fine line contact stylus can sound worse than a conical or an elliptical stylus. And the answer is definitely yes. And I want to talk a little bit about why that is so. I have here in front of me some scale models, some 1001 scale models of a fine line contact stylus, typical Japanese style profile. Conical stylus, 0.7 mils is what many people call it, and a horizontally modulated groove, that is only left, right, left, right, left, right, which happens to be anything right in the center of your two speakers or mono, same thing. When a conical stylus is riding through a horizontally modulated groove, there is something called pinch effect. This has been studied and known about for many decades, written about rather extensively, and is a phenomenon whereby in order to get through the modulated groove, a conical stylus won't just go left, right, left, right, left, right. It will go also in a vertical fashion. It's actually an ovular pattern to get through. And that's because the shape of the cutting stylus that was used to make this groove didn't look like this. It looked a lot more like that, like a fine line contact stylus. So in order for this rather large, what's called a minor radius, to get through that groove, it needs to go up and around, up and around. Here is what it looks like in finite element analysis. This is an animation that we did some time ago just to see this phenomenon for ourselves. The degree to which a conical stylus is forced to travel up in order to get through a groove that is only going left, right, is a function of this minor radius here, which is usually in the neighborhood of about 25 microns or slightly less. By contrast, a fine line contact stylus will have as little as a 2.5 micron radius on this ridge line here, which allows it to mimic the cutting stylus that made the groove in the first place. However, as we've illustrated a number of times in our videos on zenith error, when zenith error, which appropriately is actually called stylus yaw, when stylus yaw is present, the fine line contact stylus is also forced to travel in an ovular pattern to get through the groove. And the degree to which instead of just going left, right, when it's properly oriented on the zenith, when it has a significant amount of stylus yaw or zenith error, the degree to which it now has to travel vertically in order to get through the groove can be far more than what we experience with a conical stylus. And furthermore, the timing errors are much worse as well. Every time a conical stylus shifts its direction from left to right, right to left, inner to outer, outer to inner, it's also shifting the location on the stylus that is contacting the groove. This means that with every change in direction of the stylus in the groove, there is a timing problem between left and right channels that's constantly shifting. On a fine line contact stylus then, that has stylus yaw, zenith error, the timing difference between left channel and right channel signal will be pretty much a constant as it travels through the groove. None of this washing about that the conical stylus is known for. The consistency of this timing error then can make the problem all that much more apparent to us. Now subjectively, we experience this as, well, kind of less of everything. And it's not obvious that the problem is there until it's removed by having a properly oriented fine line contact stylus. But what it manifests itself as is poor imaging. The soundstage isn't as large. Transient attack isn't as good. The delineation between instruments is not as clear. There's less overall clarity. There's less focus to that soundstage and that image. It sounds a little less real. and not as much like you're simply listening to music. Sounds a little bit more like you're listening to a stereo. But again, this isn't something that you notice until you've removed the problem. And then it's very, very obvious to you. So to get back to the original question about whether a misaligned fine line contact stylus can sound worse than a conical stylus, the answer is definitely yes, but it depends upon the degree of error, of that Zenith error, that stylus yaw error. Hopefully that was helpful, and next week, another soundbite video. See ya.